Hello everyone, welcome into another video. Yes, everyone has been wrong about Regi bottom, the bottom Regi. And today, I'll try my best to explain about the bottom Regi. So hopefully it will bring some insights to all the players, all the pro teams, and hopefully it will elevate the state of Pokemon Unite. So to prefix this whole thing, I have been watching some pro games in EUIC, and I also have been watching some games from Peanut Butters or Point Blank Scrims, and I could tell that most of the players were not aware of this, or they simply followed the meta and didn't think about the reason behind the meta. What I'm talking about is people tried to take the bottom objective, the bottom Regi, even though they were losing. And they were focusing it too much to the point that they throwed the game just to get the bottom objectives. So because of all of these issues, all of this thought process, it raises a question, right? It raises a question. So if taking bottom objectives equal throw, so then when should we take the bottom objectives, right? When to take bottom Regi? Hopefully in this video I will explain everything as best as I can. So in this video I will be explaining it through two lenses. The first lens is mathematic. We'll be looking behind the mathematic. Most data are gathered from UniteDB. I will leave the link, the UniteDB link, in the description. And the second lens is the situation. So like earlier I said, like we are already losing, so should we take the bottom objective or is there other options? But first we'll be looking at the mathematics, because mathematics, I'm gonna be very honest, the mathematic part is going to be a very big pillar to how we tackle this issue. Disclaimer. So I will not be doing complex math. Most of the maths are simple math. And in this video, I will be focusing more on controllables mechanics rather than uncontrollable mechanics. So what counts as uncontrollable mechanic? So number one is, as an example, is the catch up EXP. Number two is the kill EXP. Number three is the scoring mechanic, right? The score also gives you EXP. So I will not be doing those kind of math, but the math that I will be doing is consistent throughout the stage. So before we head into the math part of the video, so let's refresh our memory about Regi, the Regi, right? So Regi Ice, when you beat them, they provide you with 90 seconds of HP regen. Regi Rock, 90 seconds of defense and special defense. Regi Steel, 90 seconds of attack and special attack. So not just buffs, Regi Ice, Regi Rock, Regi Steel will provide the players with EXP. So the players will receive this amount of EXP per player. It's 60% of the base EXP, and it will be every player will receive the equal amount. So in total, the team will receive this amount of EXP. Typically, when you're farming with EXP shareholder will gain 30% EXP, while the non-EXP shareholder will gain 100% EXP. But this doesn't apply to Regi Ice, Regi Rock, and Regi Steel. So here comes the math part. Because we know that Regi Ice, Regi Rock, and Regi Steel provides EXP to the whole team, we will be comparing the amount of EXP you can get from the Regi Ice, Regi Rock, or Regi Steel to other Pokemons on the map. So for our calculation or math, we will be doing Altaria with Swablu, Indeedee, and also the jungle farms, which is Escavalier, Aselgor, and Baltoise. For one Altaria camp, which consists of one Altaria and 3 Swablus, the amount of EXP is actually just half of it. You can see by the differences. Alright, you can see by the difference. The total amount of EXP from Altaria is only half the amount of EXP from the Regi Steel, Regi Rock, and Regi Ice. However, the amount of EXP is going to be increased by EXP share. So you can already see that even one camp only can give you almost equal to the bottom objective, the bottom Regi. Now this is where it gets interesting. So Altaria can spawn on top and bottom lane, right? The bottom and top Altarias are controllable through the path situation. For example, if you're not breaking the path, then it means it's going to spawn at like 550, for example, or 420. Or if you break T1, it's going to spawn at like 615 or 445. So it's all controllable. However, I will not be counting the central because the central cannot be controlled that much, simply because you need to defeat every part of the Altaria and then you need to wait for 90 seconds. Sometimes, because you're fighting too much or like you're too focused on farming, sometimes you cannot reach the central Altaria. So in this case, I will just be focusing on the top and bottom Altaria. And in which case, we can already see, right? Like 2 camps is equal. Like 2 camps is equal. It gives equal amount of EXP to the players. And let's not forget about the EXP share, right? It is a 30% plus, so you'll gain 30% more EXP compared to a bottom objectives. And it's just only the Altaria, by the way. Like I said earlier, I'll also be counting the Indeedee. Now, Indeedee is a very special case, so technically, you want to let go of your T1, or maybe you're in a bad position and you lose your T1. So in the top path T1, when you lose your T1 on top path, you'll have 3 Indeedees. On bottom lane, you will have 2 Indeedees. So I did the math on every one of it. So like 1 Indeedee, the base Indeedee, and we'll be counting from the bottom 2, the top 3, and the total of 5 Indeedees. And we can see that, yeah, 2 Indeedees is not enough. 3 Indeedees, barely enough, but like 5 Indeedees is equal to 1 Regi Ice, Regi Rock, or Regi Steel. And that's without even counting the EXP share. Like you can see that on the third one, on 3 Indeedees with EXP share, the amount of EXP is actually almost equal. It's only like 200-ish difference. But if you have like 5 Indeedees with a EXP shareholder, you'll gain more EXP. And let's not forget, right? Let's not forget, Indeedee spawns every 1 minute. Meanwhile, Regi Ice, Regi Rock, and Regi Steel respawns every 2 minutes. So, with that in mind, we can actually make a calculation of like 2 times spawns, right? 2 times spawns of the Indeedee. Here we can see that 2 times 2 equals 4 is almost equal, basically, because we know that 5 Indeedees is equal to 1 Regi Ice, Regi Rock, and Regi Steel. And on 3 times 2 is actually more. But like, if you look at the 5 times 2, it's actually double the amount of EXP compared to Regi Ice, Regi Rock, or Regi Steel. Now, let's not forget about the EXP share, right? Let's not forget about the EXP share. We can see that even with 2 2 times 2 equal 4, and EXP share, it's actually equal amount of EXP. And like for the 3 times 3, it's actually, 3 times 2 is actually around 60% increase. But for the 5 times 2 equal 10, it's more than double. It's more than double the amount of EXP. So in this situation, I think like sometimes it's not bad to just let go of the bottom objective just because you can gain more farm. And again, this is not even counting the score, because in technicality, you'll gain, if you can get all of the entities, you'll gain 50 scores, 50 points, and with 50 points you'll be scoring and gaining more EXP compared to 20 from the Regi Ice or Regi Rock or Regi Steel. Now this is the most favorite part, the jungle part, right? The jungle farm. So in jungle, there is one Astelgore, one Escavalier or blue buff, red buff, and 2 Baltoys. The Baltoys in the jungle actually gives you more EXP, and if you lose a T1, you'll gain an additional Baltoy. So one Baltoy gives you 2 scores, 2 points. One buff gives you 4 points, right? So 2 buffs gives you 8 points in total. Without losing any pad, you'll gain 12 points. If you lose all 2 pads, you'll gain another 4 points. So that's 16 points. And because they spawn every minute you beat them, that means you'll gain 2 spawns. So that's equal to, in total, that's equal to 32 points. Now, for EXP wise, we will see that we will compare the 2 Baltoys and 4 Baltoys. So with 1 spawn, we can see that actually, even with 2 Baltoys, it's almost equal to the amount of EXP you'll gain from defeating Regi Ice, Regi Rock, or Regi Steel. But with 4 Baltoys, it's actually more. It's actually more than enough to outscale the EXP you'll gain from beating Regi Rock, Regi Ice, and Regi Steel. Now with EXP share, even 2 Baltoys can cover the amount of EXP that you lose from not getting the objective. And with 4 Baltoys, actually it's more than half. It's more than half from the amount of EXP that you gain from the bottom Regi. Now with 2 spawns, like we remember that the jungle will respawn every 1 minute, the bottom Regi will respawn every 2 minutes. So by mathematics, you'll gain 2 sets of jungle before the bottom Regi is spawned. Before the bottom Regi spawns. So with just 2 Baltoys, 2 spawn, you'll actually have half of the 1.5 EXP more than the 50% more EXP than the bottom Regi. But with the 4 Baltoys times 2, it's actually more. It's twice the amount of EXP. And let's not forget the EXP share, right? Let's not forget the EXP share. Even with 2 Baltoys, it's actually more. The amount of EXP is actually twice higher than the bottom objective. And again, like the biggest thing about the farms is that you can actually allocate the amount of EXP that you want to give. For example, I want to give it to my jungler. I can allocate all the EXP to my jungler. Oh, I want to give it to my top laner. I can allocate all of the EXP to my top laner, or maybe to my mage. I can allocate all of the EXP to my mage. So it is more controllable, and it is actually better than the bottom objective if we're looking at this lens. And again, with the EXP share, that means our support or tank can actually gain more EXP and hit their power spike. Like sometimes Umbreon need level 10 or maybe level 12 to be a stronger to be a stronger Pokemon, to be a stronger frontliner, or maybe just like or maybe like you want to have a level 10 Blissey, or maybe like a level 12 Eldegoss. Like everything with this amount of farm allocation, you probably will be able to hit the power spikes for your support or tank. Which is why like this actually gives you more EXP, and this is actually better for the team in general. So now that we know the math, we'll be looking at the situation of the games. Typically, when you're doing objectives, you need to see first whether you are winning the game or you're losing the game. When you're losing the game, sometimes contesting the objective is very hard, and it's also very risky. When you're winning, sometimes you also need to think whether the enemy can out-secure you, can kill you while you're taking the objective, or whether you're actually not winning, but you have the small lead. But still, it doesn't count as winning. So here are some perspectives on the losing part. So most of the times when you're losing, I would suggest that you don't go for the objectives, you don't contest the objectives, because most of the time it's not a wise idea to go up against the objectives when the enemy is much stronger. In this situation, what I will do is that I will try to play for kills. Right, number one is try to play for kills. Most of the time they're too busy. Like the enemy are probably too busy doing the objective. Maybe they're trying to secure, maybe they're trying to set up for the objectives, maybe they're trying to set up for the kills. But like if you're actually focusing on their kills, they will be dancing between the objectives and the fight. Number two is to play for top objectives. So for example, if you think that bottom objective is uncontestable, you need to check whether top lane is contestable. If you think that top lane is contestable and you think that, oh, I need to get stacks, Regi WRONG can actually help you with the stacks problem. Although it's case by case, but I believe that if you push the Regi WRONG, you can probably get some stacks. Number three is mostly in the mid game, typically on the second objective. Typically, if you're losing, sometimes it's not a bad idea to just focus on the farm. For example, you're just getting all the Altarias, you're getting all the jungles, even invading their jungle to starve their jungle. That means like you'll be starving them for more EXP, and you'll be gaining more EXP. And if you already lose your first the T1 first goal, you can actually just farm Inidi, and Inidi is very hard to contest because of the map control situation from the T2. The fourth is that you try to steal from safety. What I mean is that if you have a snipe character, for example, you have a Mew, Inteleon, maybe Venusaur, Residua even. If you can actually snipe from safety and actually get the objectives, you should actually try it, because the enemy probably have already used all their resources to try and gain the objectives, and then you stole it from them. So that means that you'll be gaining the EXP, you will be gaining the buff, right? While they gain nothing. Most of this is actually in conjunction as well with defending the path. Like if you think you need to defend the path, it's actually not a bad idea to defend the path for some map control, right? But most of the time, if you already went for the kills and maybe you killed like 2 or 3, but like they got the objectives, they probably will not be able to push anyway, because they already lost the mean to be aggressive. And by playing top objectives, most of the time you want to solve the bottom objectives, and like it will also help the top lane and maybe the jungler who also went top, also goes to top, to scale with their stacks or score, or just farm. And like by farming, typically you just want to outscale the enemy. I think for my favorite is actually number 1, play for the kills. Because again, if you can play for the kills, sometimes you can turn the game around by killing the enemy and getting the objectives after that, and also maybe like pushing the lane. Or if you don't have any needs to push, you can just like go back to farm, right? Because the enemy doesn't have the buff, the enemy is dying, or the enemy doesn't have the mean to push. That means like you have free space to farm, either the Altaria, the jungle, or the Indeedee. Now, for the winning team, if you think that you can actually win the team fight and win the objective, you should just take the objective, because most of the time when you're winning, you still have your T1, but the enemy doesn't have your T1, right? So in this case, you should be taking the objectives, and then you should be following up with the what I'm going to explain next. So number 2 is use the objective as a bait. What I mean is, you want to make the enemy focus on the objectives while you actually kill the enemy. So instead of going for the objective, you go for the kills first, and then you go for the objective. That way you'll gain bonus EXP, and then it will be much safer for you to push after you make sure they overextend for the objective. And this is about the follow-up part. So following up about the objective is very simple. First, because you have a buff, for example like Regi Steel, you gain 10% more attack. Regi Rock, you gain 10% more defense. And Regi Ice, you gain HP regen. You should be using the buff, right? And actually push. Here, you need to play aggressively. Sometimes you even need to invade their jungle to deny them the farms, right? Deny them the farms. And most importantly, you need to look at the Altaria, because the Altaria is also another contestable farm, right? You need to look at the Altaria, whether they're spawning soon or not. If they're spawning soon, that means you need to take the Altaria before the enemy can take the Altaria. If you want to be more cheeky or more aggressive, you can actually contest the Indeedee as well. It is more dangerous, but sometimes it will yield a very good result. But if you want to play aggressive, sometimes it's not a bad idea to just focus on the jungle, because the jungle is the easier, like the safest place for you to invade, rather than the Indeedee behind the T2. Alright, that's all about the bottom Regi. I'm doing this video without using any script. Hopefully the explanations are understandable. Yeah, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope I provide some insights for you guys. And yeah, hopefully it will be useful for everyone who's watching this. I will be uploading, I will be making a video about Regi as well, if I'm not distracted. And yeah, thank you for watching, everybody. Please don't forget to leave a like and a subs, and maybe a comment as well. Yeah, help me share the video to your friends, so your friends will be aware of the issue with the bottom objectives. Anyway, thank you very much once again. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. Also, don't forget to catch me live on twitch.tv/FifiBun when I can stream again. Okay, thank you everyone. Bye bye.